YouTube, what the lizard crap is going on? HeirofCarthage here. Yes, back with the lizard men in Total War Warhammer 2, where I'm going to be taking on the High Elves. Let's make you aware of the situation at hand. So I'm playing on this Alpine Ridge map where there's basically cover in the center, and that's the only reason why I didn't bring Bastiladons with solar engines. And part of me is kind of glad I didn't when I saw the army my opponent had. He had 3 Eagle Claw bolt throwers, so my Bastiladons with solar engines probably wouldn't have liked fighting that. And he's also got back here 7 units of archers, 2 of which are Lothern Sea Guard. And then he's got a Lethanar, which is back here buffing their missile damage. So decent choice for him. Spearmen are going to be outmatched by my front line of Saurus Warriors, but he has 1 Phoenix Guard, which will be potentially problematic. I've got 4 Chameleon Skinks, 2 on each flank. 2 Skink Chiefs. My army's led by Kroq Gar on Grimlock, and I've got 2 Feral Bastiladons helping 3 Saurus Warriors and 3 Saurus Warriors with spears. My opponent did deploy 1 Illyrian Reaver way back behind me, but that particular unit shouldn't be too much of a concern for me as the Lizardmen, as I can't think of too many units as the Lizardmen that an Illyrian Reaver can actually hurt. My Skink Chiefs were meant to skirmish a dragon in case he had brought such, but he hasn't, and now my Skink Chiefs are just going to find themselves in a bit of an awkward position with tons of missile fire coming their way. You can see that my opponent's going to now open fire on my Bastiladon. That's probably a good choice. I'm taking the Bastiladons to the flank, and I'm holding my main army behind the line. I want to try and get the attention of his archers into several positions at once, which should allow me to neutralize them. Because of the army pick here, he doesn't have the mobility to challenge my Chameleon Skinks, my Skink Chiefs, and Kroq Gar, and the Bastiladons all at the same time. So although he has a ton of killing power if I walk straight into it and give it time to fire, I don't have to do that. Over here, though, I did miss micro and left my Skink Chief too long. I'm going to move him off. You can see my Feral Bastiladon taking massive damage. I'm going to go ahead and put an attack order over here. I just want to get into the archers. The armor on the Bastiladon helps a lot, but their leadership's not great, and especially when they're getting pummeled by multiple units. So this wonderful rampage ability that everybody loves kicks in, and I lose control of my unit. Anyway, meanwhile, I'm going to charge the front lines, but if you could see my attack orders, which I don't know why it doesn't show, I've clicked an attack order on all 6 of the Spearmen, and I've ignored the Phoenix Guard. So my objective is to not engage the Phoenix Guard at any cost here. I've now come in range with my Chameleon Skinks. They'll become visible, and we'll see whether my opponent reacts quickly enough to them, because I should be able to quickly dismantle his artillery, but right now he's very, very focused up front. So the timing of that and the sneaking in with the Skinks here, you can see he dispatched a Spearman, but it's not going to get to my other Bastiladon. He's trying to pin down Kroq Gar, and I got caught on some idiotic animations and took a whole lot of damage. Then I used the Sacred Spawning in order to get Kroq Gar out of that fight and minimize the damage that he's going to take. So you can now see that Lethanar and his archers are going to get a little bit disrupted here. He's in a relatively big bunch here, and I'm going to start using the Skink Chiefs to dive down into. I want to keep these archers on the run. You can see 1 artillery piece down. I've got my second group of Chameleon Skinks now coming into range. So his back lines are going to be a nightmare at this point. His archers, relatively low armor. They're going to be vulnerable to the Skinks. And then Kroq Gar can kind of enter and exit combat as needed. So see, I just want to stay away from the Phoenix Guard. And I'm going to do the same thing with my Bastiladon. Just stay away from the Phoenix Guard. His Phoenix Guard is good, but I can avoid it, essentially. You can see that my Saurus Warriors having no problem dispatching the Spearmen. Just takes a little bit of time. Here comes my other Saurus Warrior, so I can busy another Spearman, and now his Spearmen are going to lose even faster. He's lost spears on this flank, so my rampaging Bastiladon and Saurus Spears can keep moving on. And again, we're just going to stay right in the middle of these archers. The artillery is almost gone. Kroq Gar is kind of pulling back and using Cold-Blooded to heal up a bit. And we've got more Saurus Warriors who have broken through and can now come back here and challenge the back lines. And basically my opponent's running out of ways to protect his archers. So had I attacked straight into him and allowed him to do the damage with his archers, it could have been devastating. But what I did here was take a little time to split up, use the map to my benefit, use that line of visibility cut there in the center of the map. My opponent wanted to play defensive, so I started moving units around the flanks, and because, you know, maybe he had the scouting because of his Illyrian Reavers, but I was holding my cards close Frontal charge, that gets his attention. Units are moving in from the flanks. Kroq Gar plows through the middle. You basically just break up the formation is my goal there. So I'm going to end that replay. Say GG to my opponent, Steel Grim. He quit a little early there. Would have been nice to have to fight that out. I mean, his Phoenix Guard definitely would have given me considerable trouble. Pretty sure I could have dealt with him at some point, but definitely quit a little early. It doesn't hurt to just kind of play those things out when you're in multiplayer, even though it may not be fun to know that you're walking into a losing scenario. But in any case, hope you all enjoyed this one. I've got another one, so stay put, and I'll fire that one up too. Alright, I'm back in another battle. This time I'm going to be leading the Green Wa here with the Prophet, Wurrzag. I've got 4 Savage Orcs, 2 Black Orcs. I've got 5 Savage Orc Airboys and the Rusty Airs, and 2 Boar Boy Biggins. I'm going to go into slow motion here because this battle's going to get underway quickly. My opponent has an absolute crap load of Spearmen. I believe there's 6 of them. He's got 4 White Lions, 2 Frostheart Phoenix, a Great Eagle, a Lethanar in the back with some Archers. So an all infantry build, and he's got these Frostheart Phoenixes, which do cause terror, and they're flying units, and that can be a pain for the greenskins. So I think he's hoping to just kind of break up the leadership of what he's expecting to be a heavy infantry build, which is precisely why I've picked a heavy archery build, which would be probably the last thing that someone would expect from the greenskins. And I'm hoping to use that against him. So I have a considerable amount of ranged power, a lot more than he does. But he does have a lot of infantry, and with that combined with these flyers is going to give me a little bit of fits. But I have some anti-large. Wurrzag is not too bad in melee combat. I'm going to use the Wa here so that my folks get the extra charge speed and charge bonus. So that way when they get into combat, they're coming in at full speed and causing maximum damage off the charge. You can see just how quickly that damage can mount. Look at these Savage Orcs, what they'll do to those White Lions. Again, that's why I like to use that Wa just slightly before the actual charge. This unit got held up. I'm not really sure why they lost their attack order. The Frostheart Phoenixes definitely going to take a toll. They're attacking my Black Orcs. I'm getting outflanked by excess Spearmen. It's not exactly what I want. I don't have anything back here to stop them. I was kind of hoping to pull some pressure off my opponent's push on my infantry line, so I'm going to push through and challenge a Lethanar with Wurrzag. It's pretty dangerous to get Wurrzag behind lines, but I was going to go ahead and use Effigy to get and just see how much damage I can cause to a Lethanar here. You see that I'm outnumbered infantry-wise, and his Eagle is doing a very good job of trying to even up this fight. My Black Orcs are up against some pretty stiff odds, but they're still doing well. They're managing to pick up a lot of kills, and then my Savage Orcs up here are doing quite well. And then back over here, the nice thing about Savage Orc Airboys is they're not absolute pushovers in melee, and I may need that at this point, but I'm going to start trying to cause some damage to his units that are breaking through. And you can see over here I get into some real big trouble, as I did cause a lot of damage to a Lethanar, but I overextended. I'm going to have to use my leadership ability to try and keep Wurrzag in the fight, because he's got a double Frostheart Phoenix chasing me right now. Not the best place to be in your greenskin life, but I'm going to lure those Phoenixes back this way, and then use my Boar Biggins to get these Phoenix units off my back, though it's possible that Wurrzag's going to rout here. I brought this Boar over, and it did indeed make his Spearmen turn towards it. I'm just going to pull the Boar back, and we should be able to eliminate these Spearmen. Wurrzag's still just getting absolutely butchered by these Phoenix units. Fortunately for me, they didn't actually end up causing that much damage, because they weren't getting a lot of hits, and that pulled the Phoenix away from the infantry fight long enough for me to start killing a lot of High Elf infantry. So you can see that a considerable number of them are dead. I'm going to keep my cavalry away from those flyers because there's too many Spearmen. I'm just going to pull back Wurrzag. I've got a lot of skirmishers. Let's let those skirmishers do their job. So that's going to be my objective. I've got some units that are regrouping in the forest. Need to keep my cavalry alive, let my infantry fight it out, let them cause as much damage as possible, like over here, supporting this unit with Here We Go. I want them to go ahead and finish this other unit off and punch on through. So just going to play a little bit patient here, even though I know it's going to mean the death of a lot of my infantry, but my range superiority here has to be played out as much as possible, so I'm going to start trying to pick off the High Elf units that are trying to engage me in melee. This Savage Orc over here picks up a Chevron and almost another before it finally gets routed by Terror, but it gives me some really good opportunity to shoot some of their infantry in the back. Over here I was hoping I could maybe single out this Frostheart Phoenix, They're tough units, though. Definitely tough units. I've got my black orcs in here, and I've got the savage or the orc biggins, and we're gonna cause some damage. But that unit's not a pushover, and we're taking arrow fire in the midst of it. So I'm gonna have to pull the boar boys out of there, and kind of just sacrifice the black orcs here. Not exactly what I wanted, but it's gonna have to be what happens. I'm using again my infantry as a sacrificial position to slow down, and then just keeping Wurrzag safe, keeping my cavalry back as reserves, and again, as my infantry regroups, I throw it in. And at this point, it's an attrition game. The High Elves can overcome my infantry, but they're going to start taking massive attrition to my ranged, which is sitting nearby. And you can see that their leadership and their health is getting quite low here under considerable ranged fire. This is going to give me a good opportunity here in a moment to come swinging in with Wurrzag and my boar boys and basically take out the weak remnants of this blob. One Great Eagle's down. Again, the other Frostheart Phoenix is focused on infantry elsewhere. I'm going to punch through over here, try and get a hold of those High Elf archers. That's his only range components. Here comes my second effigy to get. I'm going to use it on the Frostheart Phoenix to hold it in place. Again, we're going to use some get back here, going to help my leadership, and then some here we go. Make sure my boar boys will cause tremendous damage. And look at this. This infantry starts to fall apart. And all the while, the Frostheart Phoenix took some damage. Got stuck here on the ground and kind of forgotten. And then now I should be able to bring Wurrzag and my boars to bear on it and single it out because its support is elsewhere on the map. So my opponent got a little too hasty here, blobbed up on my regrouped infantry. Regrouping greenskin infantry can be a pain in the butt. You can see I've got another savage orc here. This one came back, a black orc came back. I've got my other black orc that regrouped back here for a second time. I'm just hiding it and waiting. And then my boar biggins back here should regroup as well. So greenskin infantry can regroup on you several times, and that's what I'm going to use to my advantage here. So my opponent really doesn't have a good answer to my army at this point. The Frostheart Phoenix was doing a lot more damage than I would have liked, considering what it's up against. These things are freaking tough. Pain in the butt. But yeah, my opponent has no answer to my archers at this point. He can't really hunt them down because if he brings his Frostheart Phoenix down, they're going to get singled out. I have infantry to disrupt his infantry. I got my other boar unit back, 2 more infantry units over here, and my opponent again is going to call it quits. So I do like it when people fight to the end, but he was basically defeated at this point. It's in the replay. So this time Steel Grim's army was different, and I just tried to throw something different at him was all I was up to here. Let's break out the archers, because that's not something that people are going to expect from the greenskins. We'll go into archer heavy play. Well, Arab, what if he would have had a lot of archers? Yeah, wouldn't have been a great situation for me. The Arab boys do have some physical resistance, which is nice, but they're also completely unarmored and don't have shields, and they lack the range of the High Elf archers. So I probably would have taken a pretty good beating, but if my opponent would have spent a bunch of money on archers, that means he probably wouldn't have had these Frostheart Phoenix, which means that he could have been in trouble in other regards. So, I don't know. I think it worked out fun. I just like bringing different builds like this, and in this case, it worked out to be pretty fun. One black orc ended actually punching its money's worth there. The other one definitely didn't do as well, but it was still alive at the end. Wurrzag was pretty risky here, and I'm kind of surprised I wasn't made to pay for it. But he did a good job, actually, of pulling those Frostheart Phoenix away from the line for long enough. Again, this was more of an attrition battle. You can see he had more infantry than me, but when you look at the kills, you know, he didn't lose a lot here, 26, 28, but lost 86 to this Savage Orc, lost 74 to that Savage Orc, 64 to the Black Orc, 101 there. And then when you start tacking on the Archer kills, my opponent starts losing quite a few units. And I was just able to turn it back around. When you get into late game, don't have an answer to all these archers, then you're toast. It's not much you can do. And so that was why I was kind of willing to sacrifice my infantry line early on and do as much damage as possible. Because of the pick that my opponent brought, I knew he wasn't going to have the cavalry. If he did have the cavalry, obviously I was going to have to use my boar boys, and I had a foot of Gork on Wurrzag. So had he brought like a couple of expensive dragon princes, my goal would have been to at least annihilate one of them with the foot of Gork, but we didn't end up needing it. I also brought the fist of Gork in case that he brought Phoenix Guard, because the Phoenix Guard also have some physical resistance, and it's always good to have some magical damage available in order to take those guys out. So I had foot of Gork, here we go, and fist of Gork on hand with Wurrzag, just in case. Anyway, hope you all enjoyed these. HeirofCarthage signing out for now. I'll be back with more soon. Do remember that Thursday is Throwback Thursday. I didn't actually have anybody submit a Throwback Thursday battle. I'll try and give you all a reminder next week. If you have them now, what I'm looking for right now is Shogun 2 battles. So send me any battles you can get on Shogun 2. So if you've got some good ones, go back, send them to me. I want to show those sometime next week, or I say sometime Thursday of next week. Otherwise, I am planning the Rome 2 stream, so go check my channel for that information, and I will see you then. HeirofCarthage, signing out.